I'll let you figure it out once you hear the words that come out of this man's mouth. But looking through the comments, it took a long time for me to scroll and find a comment that was addressing how the voice sounds. But just listen to the words chosen.
Stuck around until the end to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre after credit sequence. Now your mind is racing, and you're asking yourself, what does it all mean? What does it all mean? Says the narrator of all. For the majority of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's 83-minute runtime, it's not that deep. Leatherface wields a massive chainsaw and murders people with it. You don't even need to have seen the other 7 films in the genre because the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre is regarded a direct sequel to the 1974 film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. For the sake of this new film, they are not considered canon. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre end credits scene, on the other hand, may catch you off guard.
All right, it's great. Yes, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre ending explained. It's a 5-minute long video. I'm pretty sure all it does is it sums up the movie itself.
Or maybe you just want to know who survives by skipping ahead. Whatever your motivation, here's all you need to know about the movie's post-credits scene. Melody is a young San Francisco entrepreneur with a plan to convert a near ghost town in rural Texas into a wealthy elitist tourism and real estate destination. Leela, her younger sister, is dragged along with her to a meeting with possible investors in town. Melody is hoping that Leela would join her in Texas so that they can be together after a tragic tragedy at her school.
A tragic tragedy.
Leela and their pals arrive in Harlow, Texas. They find something in the town that their investors don't want them to see. A Confederate flag. They attempt to get rid of it. They presume the house flying it is abandoned, so when an elderly woman asks what they are doing in her home, they are taken aback. The elderly lady offers delicious tea to her unexpected visitors. She claims the house is an
The elderly lady offers delicious tea.
A frightening person arrives in the stairway while the old lady is frightened. His face is hidden from view. The elderly lady instructs the man to return to his room since she is alright. She informs Melody, he's the last of my guys. He need particular attention.
He's the last of my guys.
I can't be here since he doesn't do well outside. When the cops arrive, that menacing figure, as you may have surmised, is none other than Leatherface. Aka the chainsaw-wielding killer initially depicted by Gunnar Hansen.
The amount of times this voice says Aka instead of AKA. Aka.
Aka the chainsaw-wielding killer initially depicted by Gunnar Hansen in the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. She's out of bullets, but thankfully, Sally comes and shoots Leatherface in the shoulder with the last of her power. Explained ending. A dying person, Sally warns Leela not to flee. If you flee, he'll never stop haunting you. With her last round, Leela hits Leatherface in the stomach. Melody then takes up the chainsaw and slices him through the middle, albeit a shallow one. Leatherface is knocked unconscious and falls into the sea. We notice bubbles at first, indicating that he is still breathing. Falls into the sea! Yeah, that was one of the best parts. He falls into the sea. Melody then takes up...
If you've seen the movie, he falls into like a hole in the building with a bit of water.
The chainsaw and slices him through the middle, into the sea. Albeit a shallow one. Leatherface is knocked unconscious and falls into the sea. We notice bubbles at first, indicating that he is still breathing. But the bubbles gradually stop, indicating that he is dead. Is Leatherface finally extinguished for good? Nope. Leela and Mel get into their expensive pilot. He beheads her in the street with his chainsaw. After the credit scenes, is there a Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
This is the best part. This is the best part of the whole video right now. He spends 4 minutes explaining the movie, with a minute left in the video, and a video called Texas Chainsaw Massacre Ending Explained. Listen.
Cries from the car that is still going away on autopilot. He beheads her in the street with his chainsaw. After the credit scenes, is there a Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Yes. You may see Leatherface walking down a dusty road with his chainsaw approaching a lovely little home with a windmill if you wait until the very end. It's Leatherface's house, aka the early 1900 seconds farmhouse where the first Texas Chainsaw
1900 seconds farmhouse
Massacre film, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was shot. Leatherface.
Right now it's showing a picture of Chop Top, which is absolutely the wrong picture.
His brother.
I love this sentence.
We notice bubbles at first.
This sentence
and snatches Mel from the car that is his chainsaw. After the credit scene.
Is there a Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Yes. What does that sentence mean? What does that mean at all? That means no.
Is there a Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Yes. You may see Leatherface walking down a dusty road with...
And this channel has not one, but two of the exact same concept, but with a completely different script. They have another Texas Chainsaw Massacre video. It's also an ending explained, but except this video, for some reason, is the entire hinge and the entire concept is they are explaining the movie, but from the perspective of someone who feels bad for Leatherface. Listen.
Every monster, whether in nature or legend, has a backstory. These tales include vital lessons for humans about why they should not tamper with nature's secrets or things they don't fully comprehend. Humans, on the other hand, excavate nature's secret out of curiosity, ignorance, or greed, arousing sleeping spirits or monsters and sparking events that culminate in a massacre. The reappearance of Leatherface is likewise the product of human avarice and their stupid interference.
The reappearance of Leatherface is likewise the product of human avarice.
In the 2022 film Texas, shaded behind the walls of her chamber. We all need a sense of belonging and a home, whether we are humans, monsters, or other creatures. Without it, we frequently lose our path and wind up performing the most heinous actions or becoming our history, which we all wish to forget. This SMC's death shattered the cocoon that contained the monster Leatherface, and shortly after, a sign of justice for the frail elderly woman who was ejected from her home by a gang of strangers. When Leatherface returns to the orphanage, he murders an unknown guy in the home because he doesn't belong there. And after the slaughter, he rushes into
that sentence. He murders an unknown guy in the home because he doesn't belong there. That character has a name, is in like a good 20 minutes of the movie. There's a whole reason why that character goes in the house. I'm not joking when I say that. It's written legitimately, like as if Leatherface wrote this. Killed an unknown guy because he wasn't supposed to be in the house.
To his mother's chamber and breaches the wall to get his final weapon of vengeance, the chainsaw that completes the demon's costume. Leatherface is able to wreak retribution on all the wrongdoers and innocents that credit sequence of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even if society regards Leatherface as a monster, the act of returning to the roots implies that the individual in question wishes to sleep comfortably under a roof where no one disturbs his everlasting slumber. The monster is unlikely to return unless driven by an external source to take up his chainsaw and unleash his vengeance on them because they invited their own death by trespassing into the lion's den.
Oh my god. Finding this at 3 a.m. was the most mind-breaking thing. Who wrote this? I mean, we know who.
Driven by an external source to take up his chainsaw and unleash his vengeance on them because they invited their own death by trespassing into the lion's den. But even if he does, I hope he receives the closure he deserves. Whether
even if Leatherface kills anyone that comes into his home, I really hope that he gets the closure that he deserves.
by death or some other way. Thanks for watching, and if you're new to this channel, subscribe and click.
Awesome. So I just wanted to show you what we found last night. That was amazing.